Okay. Well, if you aren't awake, you are now, right? Someone said, I'm not sure if I remember how it goes. I think they remember how it goes, so we're very, very proud of them. Good job, kids. Yeah, thank you. My name is Durant Thomas. For those of you who may not know, I'm enjoying my 27th year of tenure here at Scotch Plains Family School District, and it's been great. Obviously, this past year and change has been challenging, but I think you can hear the students came out the other end of this pandemic in a really, really great way, and couldn't be more proud of them. So, one more time, kids, you guys are fantastic. You made this year great. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. So, thank you one more time from the bottom of my heart. They hear me talk all the time, so I'm not going to do too much talking right now in the beginning, but I do want to introduce some of my right-hand people that made all of this work. First, I'm going to introduce what is a brand new show coordinator. It was her baby, it was her idea, it was her concept, and we helped her bring it to fruition, but it wouldn't have happened without our very own Miss Jackie Tumalo. So Jackie, please come on up. Thank you.
Hello. As Duran said, Mr. Thomas said, this was my first year as the show coordinator. After being here for 13 years as the color guard director, he said, you know what, it's your turn. And I was like, no, that's okay. And he's like, no, really, it's your turn, pick a show. And I was like, all right. So we decided, we had a big conversation. I said, you know what, there have been so many shows and so many songs that we've played in Scotch Plains before I was here, after I was here, that I've loved. And I said, why don't we do kind of like an homage to some of the things that we've done in the past. So Sing, Sing, Sing was actually a song that I marched in when I was a sophomore. And then our opener this year was Malagueña, and that's what I marched in when I was a senior. So besides the fact that this was my first year as the show coordinator, it was a very, very special year because I got to think back to when I was a member. And I know I said this a lot to my color guard kids, but I said I actually enjoyed teaching it more than when I marched it. And that's pretty big because I absolutely love this activity. But I just want to thank Dr. Mast and Dr. McGarry and the board for honoring these kids and celebrating everything that they have been doing and all of the hard work that they've put in. As Mr. Thomas said, they made our lives very, very easy. You know, being with them these past couple months after, you know, what the world went through and what we're still going through right now has just truly been a blessing. And I'm honestly very, very sad that it's over because these kids are my sanity, and I love them with all my heart, and I'm so, so proud of them, and I'm proud of everything that they've accomplished, and I'm so glad that, you know, they get to hear that from other people, because I think they get tired of hearing it from us all the time. So kids, congratulations. I'm so proud of you guys, and I hope you enjoy every minute of tonight and of being honored and celebrated, because you absolutely deserve it. So thank you so much.
So if I may just cut in for a moment, thank you to the marching band, Mr. Thomas, Mrs. Tumalo, Mr. Gillick. We've never really started a board meeting with all of this energy. We should do it all the time. Can you always come? So what we're going to do is just take a little pause before we honor the band, and we're going to start our meeting. So join us. Dr. Kulikowski.
Thank you, Dr. Mast.
And you folks could take a seat just for a minute. It's also a great way to get a good turnout for our meetings.
Good evening. Welcome to the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education Open Agenda Meeting. Today is November 11th, 2021. We just had our executive session, and I'd like to have Mr. Jones please call the roll.
Mrs. Boroff.
Here.
Ms. Brody.
Here.
Mrs. Mitchell.
Here.
Ms. Sirianni.
Here.
Ms. Williams.
Here.
Ms. Winkler.
Here.
Mr. Murray.
Here.
Dr. Kolakowski.
Here. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Quorum is present. Please now join me in the salute to the flag. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Prior to coming out, we held our executive session, and during that meeting, we discussed the personnel agenda, the HIB cases, the suspension and detention report, and the legal status report. At this time, we have some additions to the agenda that were added after Friday, November 5th. 3C is a field trip. 10 BUS Professional Services Proposal, 11 BUS Lighting Designer, 12 BUS Cliffside Body Corp. Quote, 13 BUS High School Book Disposal, 14 BUS Everyday Math 3 Book Disposal, 15 BUS Evergreen Book Disposal, 16 BUS D&D Paving Concrete Quote, and 2 POL Board Policy. At this time, Dr. Mask, can we have the superintendent's report, please?
Well, I'd like to wish everyone a happy Veterans Day. We had a very special celebration earlier today in the renaming of Park to the Malcolm E. Nettingham Middle School, and there will be much news around that, but it certainly was a spectacular day to be the superintendent of schools in Scotch Plains Fanwood. And the honoring of the marching band is something I have been looking forward to. I have seen a number of your performances, and not only in the talent of your performances, but just in the preparation. I don't know if anyone has experienced the train over by St. Helens in Westfield. If you go there and you get stopped, the train just keeps going and going and going. And when I see you bring your equipment on the field or off the field, it reminds me of the effort of that train. And all of the energy you put into that is just remarkable and inspiring. So that will be continued. That's my report, Dr. Kolakowski.
Thank you, Dr. Mast. Mr. Jones, how about the business administrator's report?
Yeah, just want to say tonight we're modifying a resolution for the Teamsters agreement, and I just want to publicly thank the leadership of the Teamsters Union with working with us. We transitioned to a new business administrator and also to a new legal attorney. So there were some changes to the resolution that our attorney wanted, and I just wanted to say thank you to them for being patient and working with us.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Now, the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Board of Education offices located at 512 Cedar Street, Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Such notice was also provided in written notice and forwarded to the Times, now known as the Union County Hawk, the Star Ledger, the Township Clerk of Scotch Plains, the Borough Clerk of Fanwood, and the revised annual notice of regularly scheduled meetings as adopted September 1st, 2021. So our instructional update tonight is you, the band, and recognizing the fact that you won the 2021 season and awarded bronze, but I think you should have got the gold. So if there's anything else, Mr. Millette, that you would like to come up and say for your students?
Mr. Thomas.
Or Mrs. Thomas? Mr. Gillick, anybody that wants to come up and say anything before I read the resolution?
Sure. I'm going to bring up Mr. Gillick, actually, and he's going to say a few words. Mr. Gillick has been here just about as long as I have. It's hard to believe. And he's been doing fantastic work, not only with our marching band, but in this very hallowed halls of Terrell Middle School. So let's show your love for Mr. John Gillick.
Good evening, audience and folks, and thank you, Board, and Dr. Mast and Dr. McGarry for this wonderful honor. These students this year were just absolutely a joy to work with. Every single time we were together, it was a lot of laughs. It was a lot of joy in playing some fun music. Thank you, Jackie, for designing a show that made these kids just shine and just be so cool about their show. And other bands are saying, I want to do what they're doing. They're having fun. So you guys did it. And when I look at an audience, and I turn around sometimes, I'm at the soundboard, and I turn around and look real quick, and I see people like in awe, that means you hit box 6. That means you've done it. You've done your job. Amazing year. Thank you so much. The drumline, pit folks, thank you so much. Never forget the bowing deer of Scotch Plains. Okay, that's an inside joke that we have, but a lot of fun. Thank you so much for making it so great. Thank you very much.
And I just also want to recognize our 2 rookie student leaders, if they want to stand up and be recognized, Amelia Collins and Rhea Kishin. It's hard to do this job as a veteran. It's very much more challenging to walk into this job. Never done it before as drum majors, and these 2 young ladies did a fantastic job. So please, let's give them some appreciation. And let's just keep it going one more time for all of the seniors. This is a great way for you to go out. I hope you had as much fun as we did. Let's, every senior, please stand up and be recognized. Seniors, this is wonderful.
Whereas the 2021-2022 Scotch Plains Fanwood High School Marching Band has achieved remarkable success in the stands and on the field through the 2021 fall season. The Raider Marching Band are proud of their accomplishments in the season, earning the top 3 placement in every competition this season. And whereas on Sunday, October 31st, the Scotch Plains Fanwood High School Raider Marching Band earned a bronze medal in the New Jersey Marching Band Directors Association Championship with a score of 89.0. And whereas the 2021-2022 Scotch Plains Fanwood High School Raider Marching Band consisted of the following members. Elizabeth Agnello, and please come forward to collect your certificate when we call your name.
Dr. Kulikowski, let's have them all come back up. Students, can you please all come back up to the front now?
The certificates. Olivia Ayer, Caitlin Appleby, Hannah Bake, Shale Bordolia, Nyla Bartholomew, Francesca Benedetto, Anastasia Burke, Emerson Carton, Arsh Chaudhary, Samuel Chichester, Amelia Collins, Luciana Cortez, William Dietrich, Emma Doherty, Isabel Elimu, Joseph Enton, Sarah Fevrier, Lauren Fleckenstein, Emmett Finnis, Sophia Gallo, Alicia Goff, Alina Gonzalez, Esmeralda Gonzalez, Natalie Green, Jeff Gui, Jessica Gui, Bridget Hernandez, Connor Hoffman, Ellery Howell.
And and I will apologize in advance if I mispronounce someone's name. I'm sorry. Nemet Idisa, Anniker Eiler, Tyler Jankera, Gabrielle Johnson, Ninad Kashikar, Aditya Kandelwal, Adam Keel, Rhea Kishin, Elizabeth Koizumi, Justin Koizumi, Darian Lee, Samuel Leibowitz, John Leonardo, Allison Lesser, Shayna Lee, Noah Liang, Alexander Liverance, Rika Brianna Lopez, Melanie Lowell, Kelly Marquez, Isabel McCarthy, Thomas Metzger, Caitlin Myers, Kyle Miller, Salma Muhammad, Jaslyn Navarro Jimenez, Teresa Nitro, Jacob Okana, Lee Odoro, Sarah Poella.
Mizuki Parker, Dylan Patel, Tanvi Pawar, Aditya Patak, Aidan Roberson, Davia Sidvani, Amelia Savarisi, Kelsey Scott, Andrew Scythe, Elise Sena, Evan Sena, Emily Sicoli, Kieran Sivaneri, Andrew Smith, Dominic Salza, Connor Spellman, Samuel Stetton, Parth Sutar, Amber Swenson, Claire Swenson, Antonios Theocaropoulos, Eleni Theocaropoulos, Caitlin Chakosh, Lucas Vega, Jaylene Velez, Shirley Velez, Alyssa Warbeck, Katie Wilson, Daniel Wong, and Ernest Yates.
And whereas the 2021-2022 Scotch Plain Fanwood High School Raider Marching Band exhibited outstanding talent, dedication, and teamwork throughout the season, and was led by band director Mr. Duran Thomas, assistant director Mr. John Gillick Jr., color guard director and show designer Ms. Jackie Tumlo, and assistant technician Katie Westerlund, and volunteers Christabella Fortuna, Joseph Elkin, Samantha Jasiak, and Tracy Prusik. This team received a well-deserved recognition from fellow students, staff, and the Scotch Plains Fanwood communities for their outstanding efforts and accomplishments. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education recognizes and congratulates the 2021-2022 Scotch Plains Fanwood High School Raider Marching Band and their coaches for their outstanding achievements and wishes them continued success in all future endeavors. Congratulations, everyone. Can I have a motion to accept the resolution? So moved. Thank you, Mr. Murray.
Second.
Is there a second for the resolution?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Boroff. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. That is going to be a tough act to follow up next meeting on November 18th. I said that's going to be a tough act to follow on November 18th for our next instructional update, which will be the 2020-2021 School Safety Data System, SSDS, and the HIB for January to June 2020, presented by Mrs. Rabimbus. And the self-assessment scores from July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, presented by Mrs. LaKendra McFadden, Student Assistant Specialist and District Anti-Bullying Coordinator. At this time, in accordance with the Scotch Plains Fanwood Public School Bylaw 0164-0165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes for public comment. Maximum 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing the superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first. If time remains, speakers may address other matters. Speakers, when you want to make a comment, please come to the podium, speak slowly and clearly, state your full name and the town in which you reside. And we say that only because of the masks. It's really muffled, so speak as slow as you possibly can so we can understand. Please note, board members cannot respond regarding concerns of individual students or staff members, and such matters should be addressed with the superintendent's office. At this time, is there anyone who would like to make a public comment? Please come up to the podium. Seeing no one, we'll close this portion, but there will be another opportunity later in the meeting. I'd like to move on to committee reports. Does anybody have a committee report? Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Dr. Kulikowski. I have 2 reports this evening. The first is facilities. There was a few items that we need to talk about on the facilities report. Let me just pull it up. So the first item was regarding Cliffside Body Corp., which is on the agenda this evening that we're recommending approval for, which is the removal and replacement of a bed and storage lockers, as well as a lift gate on an existing vehicle. The second is disposal of books, both at the high school library as well as everyday math. And the fourth is concrete work that we had gotten original estimates for, that we went back out and were able to get better pricing on, so we're recommending moving forward with those 4 initiatives. The other updates were just updates to items we've spoken about prior, one being the open insurance claims for the Ida hurricane, the high school. There's Potter Architects discussion around flood mapping, moving forward with the facilities condition assessment that we'd been talking about. Redevelopment meetings with the township to talk through all of the timelines and potential impacts to the school through the redevelopment that is happening. So future planning for future meetings with leadership of the townships as well as the district administration. Discussions with the townships of Scotch Plains and regarding field development and field space for the communities. We had an update on Pomptonian, just around the continual analysis and expansion of the food service regarding hot food options that continue to be rolled out, most recently in the middle schools. And then some updates on vestibules and updates there. Other than that, that's all we spoke about in facilities. I don't know if anybody has any questions on that report that you had previously received. If not, I will move to student activities and athletics. Same day, different meeting. There was an athletics update by Mr. Miller regarding field hockey and volleyball having strong seasons. Football continued to improve. Boys soccer advanced to the county final, and state sectional semifinal. Girls soccer advanced to the Union County final and is actually playing tomorrow night in the state sectional final against Westfield. I believe this will be the 4th time this year that we played them. So the girls are, hopefully everybody can get out and support the girls tomorrow night. I believe that game is also in Westfield. Cross country, strong participation numbers across the board. Gymnastics won 3rd consecutive county title and won the North 2 section title for the first time since 1993. Girls tennis placed 4th in the county, but won the North 2 Group 3 sectional title, first one since '93 as well. So overall, fall has done really well, and we're heading into winter, to a more normal winter sports season across the board. And the other update was from Dr. Heisey regarding some of the activities at the high school. So talking about a bunch of different clubs, some updates around DECA and what the DECA program is up to and has been up to, which is always great to hear. There's a new esports club that has become very popular at the high school. Robotics clubs will begin competitions in November. The fall play is this month, A Christmas Carol. And there's some field trip planning happening with some other clubs as well. So some more normalcy for our students and staff, and I think it's really great to see. And that concludes my student activities report.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Are there any other reports to be heard this evening? Ms. Brody?
I have a Finance Committee report. We met on November 8th. We discussed the fact that the food service account continues to lose money, and this is in part because sorry, is this better? Okay. The changing of the structure of lunch and such. We're looking into other options. There may be a slight price increase starting in January, with the prices being comparable to neighboring districts. We have currently a little over $3 million in capital reserves and $1.6 million in maintenance reserves. And the maintenance reserve is meant for expenditures that are basically under $100,000. And we will have some items on the agenda tonight to help reduce that reserve. We also discussed a flood remediation study that Evan had mentioned, to not only look at the effect of the storms such as Ida, but also when there's just heavy rainstorms. And this study will comprise the full district as well as the impact on the neighboring properties, and will be funded through the capital reserve. We discussed options for the bond referendum that we are thinking about doing. Since our current bonds are coming to an end, the projects to be funded will be discussed in more depth when we have the results of our demographic study, which should be by the end of this month, in conjunction with an in-depth capital analysis study of each building with current enrollment. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Brody. Any other reports? Mrs. Soriani?
Thank you. I have a curriculum committee report. We had 2 agenda items. Our committee met earlier this week. The first was to an update on minor changes with the elementary report card. Our elementary supervisor, Erin Mullman, came and discussed with the committee a couple of minor changes. The changes to our trimester standards-based report card were solely because of updates to our curriculum and current learning standards, and those couple minor changes are in reading. We have reported out in the past that we switched to the Teachers College reading program, so that program has its own standards, and the report card was updated to just reflect the categories in that program that are used by teachers to assess students and align more closely with Teachers College program. And then the other change to the report card was that in math, again, also as we've discussed, we are using now Everyday Math 4. So the indicators on the report card were reorganized to reflect Everyday Math 4, the sequencing of Everyday Math 4, and the current New Jersey student learning standards. So again, to promote alignment. And then kind of as an aside, we were shown just a really cool piece of support for our instructors, our teachers, that the elementary school teachers have a curriculum corner in which all of the standards and materials are updated for them on the website. And it's a virtual resource that was created during COVID, during remote learning. And all curricular content is housed there, and it's really well organized. We were kind of given a virtual tour. It's organized by content area, and teachers are able to access curricular support materials and other things, such as ideas for morning meetings, the report card rubrics, and other things. So that was just kind of a little aside that we got to tour. The other agenda item was a review of the Professional Development Day that took place last week on Election Day for teachers and administrators. During the morning, teachers and counselors focused on diversity and inclusion, specifically examining the new law in New Jersey that was passed in March and how to implement it in a meaningful way in our district. A greater focus was determined to be making our classrooms inclusive and welcoming, promoting belonging for everyone. So there were workshops at every level of instruction, and the main topic that was discussed was what goes into identity, the complexity of identity, what is visible, what might not be visible for students, and the evolving language that everyone, including students, use to describe their identities. And the workshop elicited thoughtful conversations so that teachers and administrators could better support students in the classroom, and also provided specific strategies for teachers on how to intervene when they might hear language in the classroom that might be deemed exclusionary or hurtful. And the district, again, is committed to continuing these conversations and workshops that further explore identity and language, not just in reference to race and ethnicity and gender orientation and sexual orientation, but also in reference to students with disabilities. And then the afternoon session of professional development were different content-driven topics based on grade level, such as everyday math at the elementary level, and for higher grades, like an example of a topic was exploring eating disorders and their impact on students. And we are meeting again on December 7th.
Thank you, Mrs. Soriani. Any other reports this evening? Okay, not a report, but just as a reminder, the strategic planning third meeting will be here at Terrell Middle School on Tuesday, November 16th at 7:30, but you must pre-register ahead of time. If there are no more reports, then we will move on to the letters to the board. 4 emails were received from the public, and the appropriate administrator responded. Next will be board motions. Dr. Mass, curriculum?
Thank you, Dr. Kulikowski. First, 1C, move that the Board of Education approves the change in the out-of-district placement listed.
Can I have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Mr. Murray. Is there a second? Thank you, Mrs. Brody. Any question or discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
I'd like to move that the Board of Education approves the superintendent's decisions in the HIB cases discussed in executive on October 28th. None of the cases were determined to be HIB, but I also want to add the additional one that was left off, which is 050-2122-002, that we reviewed again this evening.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mass. Do we have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Mr. Murray. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Brody. Any question or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries.
And 3C, I'd move that the Board of Education approve the field trip where the AP French class would like to go to a restaurant in Parsippany on December 10th. The trip will allow students to experience several pertinent aspects of their current unit of study. And I would like to go too.
Sounds good. Can I have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Mr. Murray. Is there a second? Mrs. Winkler, there's a second. Any question or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Dr. Mass, if you would do the personnel report?
I would like the board to approve the superintendent's recommendations for personnel on the personnel report dated November 11th that we discussed in exec.
Okay, can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkler as the mover and Mrs. Brody as the second. Is there any question or discussion? Mr. Jones, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Winkler.
Yes.
Ms. Brody.
Yes.
Mrs. Boroff.
Yes.
Mrs. Mitchell.
Yes.
Ms. Suriani.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Murray.
Yes.
Dr. Kolakowski.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Thank you, Dr. Mast. And Mr. Jones, business report when you're ready.
Okay. Number one is just typical staff training that we have to put on. Number two is what I discussed earlier. This is just we previously ratified this agreement, and this is just a modified resolution to provide that our new attorney would like, just to provide a little more clarity in the actual agenda. Number three is a sidebar to pay our custodians for the IDA flood cleanup. Number four is for the demographic study. And this will take us, so this is the start of, this will be funds we drawn from capital reserve, and it's really the start of any pre-funding to any potential referendum we would do. In addition, we're moving quickly on this. I actually talked to demographer today. He expects to have the report, at the end of the month. And, the research that Ms. Cleary has done has shown that we have over 900 new units coming on board in the towns in Scotch Plains and Fanwood. And so I think it's very important that we get this out. We find out what the demographer says and gets additional information as soon as possible. So more to come once that report is finalized. 5 is budget guidelines that we do every year. Basically, it provides the assumptions for the budget. It's basically saying, healthcare costs, we're going to get that from our insurance broker, water costs, we will increase by 2%. So those sort of general guidelines on how we look at the budget. Number 6 is the fire drills. Number 7 are financial reports. 8 is our bank reconciliations. 9 is paying our bills. 10 is what was discussed previously during the committee updates, and this is the district-wide stormwater control assessment. Number 11 is fall play director. This is a position that another person could not do, so we had to assign to somebody else. Number 12 is what we discussed about, again, in the committee meetings, is the lift gate on the truck. Number 13 is disposal of books. 14, disposal of books. 15, disposal of books that we're required to put on the agenda. And number 16, again, the concrete work that was previously discussed in the committee updates.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Is there a second? Mrs. Boroff, thank you. Any questions or discussions?
Are we voting on all of them, or just the ones with stars?
Stars.
Stars only. So that is everything except
Yeah, so there's a break in the middle here.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9 did not have stars.
I was curious.
Thank you for that clarity, Mrs. Brody. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jones. That brings us to board policies. Mrs. Winkler?
Thank you. I'd like to move that the board approve second reading and adoption for policy.
Can you sit a little closer to the mic? Thank you.
I'd like to move that the board approve second reading and adoption for policy 5751, sexual harassment of students. And I'd also like to move that the board approve the abolishment of policy 2425, physical education. That policy is a bit of a holdover that we probably should have abolished sooner. It was replaced in 2016 when we combined it with another policy, and the other policy is policy 2422, health and physical education.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Winkler. I noticed there were no stars, but policy 2 should have a star for the abolishment.
Yeah, we should abolish that.
Okay. So can I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, Mrs. Winkler, and a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Soriani. Any further question or discussion?
It says November 18th. On the agenda, it says November 18th. They were supposed to...
That's the second one. That's what I just said. They don't have stars, but we're starring 2 POL. Right, Dr. Max?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, so even though it says the 18th, we'd like to move it tonight for the second one.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion passes. Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Is there any new board business? Seeing none. Other board business. Any liaison reports? Mrs. Winkler.
Yeah, I have a liaison report from the last TRHT meeting. The TRHT met on November 3rd. There was a presentation by the Community and Arts Committee of the TRHT for some upcoming programming that we discussed. The Policing Committee gave a brief update about the Pumpkins and Police event. There was an update about the upcoming racial healing circles. There will be, on November 17th, racial healing circle at the Y for staff there. On December 15th, there will be racial healing circles at the All Saints Church. And then moving forward, for Martin Luther King Day of Service, there may be some racial healing circles at the JCC or the Y. And on January 18th, for the National Day of Racial Healing, there will be racial healing circles at Shady Rest. There was a brief update and a discussion afterwards, I guess, about the structure of the TRHT for purposes of the reorg meetings for the 3 organizations, the Scotch Plains Municipal Government and the Fanwood Municipal Government and the Board of Ed. That's my report.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Is there any other liaison report? Seeing none. Any 2 OBB requests to attend workshops or workshop reports? Don't forget, we do have to have our workshop reports since we went to workshop virtually. You just list the courses that you have attended. And I believe, Mr. Jones, don't you collect those?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So you could forward those reports to Mr. Jones. Okay, at this time, we'll look for approval of the minutes. The Board of Education approves the minutes listed below. October 14th from the open agenda meeting, executive session. October 14th, open agenda meeting, public portion. October 28th, regular public meeting, executive session, and October 28th, the open regular public meeting. So at our next meeting, we'll approve those. In accordance with the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education bylaws 0164, 0165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes for public comments. Maximum 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first. If time remains, speakers may address other matters. Speakers, please come to the podium, speak slowly and clearly, state your full name and the town in which you reside. Please note, board members cannot respond regarding concerns with individual students or staff members, and such members should be addressed with the superintendent's office. So if you'd like to make a public comment, please come down to the podium at this time. Seeing no one, I'll close this portion of the meeting and move on to the upcoming scheduled meetings. Next meeting will be Thursday, November 18th. It's the regular public meeting, and we will be here in the Terrell Middle School auditorium with executive session at 7:30, and 8 o'clock will be the public portion. Does anybody have any remarks for the good of the order? Mr. Murray.
I just want to congratulate Dr. Kulikowski, Mrs. Brody, and Mrs. Williams on their reelection, so congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Any other remarks? Mrs. Williams?
Thank you. First, I want to say the marching band coming here was such a highlight. I could feel the energy of the kids, and thank you to Mr. Gillick and Mr. Thomas for their efforts. Also, we had a very nice morning at Nettingham Middle School, the renaming, and I just want to extend thank you to Dr. Dumaresque on a wonderful program highlighting the kids with the logo, the mascot, and
The essays.
the essay. Thank you. It was so moving. My sister was able to come, and my daughter, and again, Dr. Dumaresque, kudos to you. And thank you, Dr. Mast.
Any other public remarks? Mrs. Soriani?
I don't know whether this is really for the good of the order, sorry, but I just wanted to comment on something on the agenda. Really, I guess it is the good of the order. Kudos to our world language program, because I know that one of the goals that we've been talking about in curriculum committee is to not just explore the dominant cultures that speak those languages. And I notice every year we approve a field trip for students to go eat French food, and this year it is at a Moroccan restaurant. And usually I think they go, and eat grapes somewhere, but I just, and what they eat in Paris. And so I really appreciate the fact that we are trying to give students, education on different cultures that speak those languages that we teach in our schools. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, and kudos to our world language program for that.
Good point, Mrs. Soriani. Mrs. Winkler?
Yeah, I also want to mention the ceremony today at Malcolm E. Nettingham Middle School. It was a beautiful ceremony. It was a beautiful day, and I want to acknowledge that we did the ceremony on Veterans Day as Mr. Nettingham was a Tuskegee Airman, and with that, I'd like to also thank all of our vets in the community for their service.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Any other comments? Mrs. Brody?
I just want to reiterate what everybody's been saying about this morning. It was really beautiful, and it was very moving, and I was really so impressed with the kids and how passionate they were, and passionate and creative, and so adult-like. I mean, they were very impressive. And the marching band, I wish we didn't have these on so they could see how we were smiling, because I don't think we've ever had the marching band perform like that for us. Like, that was fabulous. So thank you for arranging that.
Agreed, Mrs. Brody, they were fabulous. And I will also add my 2 cents about the Nettingham renaming ceremony. Not only did they have the ceremony with the historical facts about Mr. Nettingham and his family and descendants, they had the ribbon cutting and the tree planting. It was just a phenomenal day, and it's truly engaged all students, members of the community, board members that were there, and other administrators that were there. It was just a wonderful event. And Dr. Jumaresque was so effective that the signs are up already around the school and on the property. It was just a beautiful event, and I'm so glad I was able to be part of it. Dr. Mass, do you have a comment?
Well, a text just came in that our gymnastics team has finished 6th overall at the state finals tonight. So that's quite incredible.
Thank you, Dr. Mass. And one more thing for remarks. The Christmas Carol, the play that Mr. Murray had mentioned before. It will be at the Scotch Plains Fanwood High School Auditorium Friday, November 19th at 7:30, Saturday, November 20th at 2 p.m., and Saturday, November 20th at 7:30. Tickets are available at SPFREP.com, and there's a beautiful little poster of it. And Dr. Mast and everyone, I hope everybody gets to see this wonderful play. Can't wait. Thank you. So if there are no more remarks for the good of the order, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Murray.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Any comments? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Didn't think so. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.